balance, and everything proportions out so good. She's moderate, she's big-bodied, she's good-looking, she's nice design. If you're going to criticize her whenever she gets in motion, she's a little rigid from behind, but that's where I'd change her just a little bit. But again, that's being pretty hard on a really nice one that's going to be our division champion that's going to come back and join us here in a little bit. But congratulations, nice job.
Well, congratulations. Your champion intermediate over here in the Beef Builder ring, exhibited by Katie June Alexander with Alexander Bruno Liberty. We'll now look to see Class 17 Spring Yearling Heifers born March to April of 2024. And congratulations, Reserve Grand Champion in our Junior Charlet show, coming out of that first division, exhibited by Parker Buck, Delaware, Oklahoma, with AC Miss Now or Never 2547 ET. Again, congratulations to all of our Junior Charlet exhibitors, and a special thank you to our judge today, Mr. Mark Kelly.
Got a really, really nice pair of heifers, which also happens to be our division drive over here. I think both of them are really nice. They're going to stay the way that they came in. The young lady up front with the black heifers going to be your class winner and division champion in this particular pair. I like her body type better, and especially whenever you get up on top of these cattle, she's more genuine in the turn that she's got coming out of the back of her shoulder. Just her body shape hits me just a little bit harder, and then whenever you get in behind the cattle, she's just built with more dimension all the way through. And then from the side, her moderation, her body type, her look of balance, everything just blends together the way that it needs to. And still, whenever we get her in motion, I still think she's got the edge in structure, especially hip and hind leg design, in comparison to the one that's coming right in behind her. Now, Stockton at the standstill, the gray heifer that's coming in behind her, really neat looking. She's got a neck a mile long that ties right onto the top of her shoulder. She's really good in her top line balance, and I really like that about her. Her lines and from the side proportion so good. For me, that heifer gets a little flat and tight in her heart and foreribs. She's just a little bit narrow built whenever you get up underneath her, a little frailer in her bone work, and maybe you could change layer in her shoulder just a little bit as well. And so just a few things that we'd like to change on her to go ahead and switch that pair. Both those heifers are very well presented and both very, very nice. Congratulations to both those young ladies on a nice job.
Well, congratulations in the Beef Builder ring, your junior yearling champion, exhibited by Miley Gibson of Newark, Arkansas, with Miss JMS Zara 03M. And reserve in that division will go to Caitlin Jacobs of Brenham, Texas. We'll now look to see Class 19. This will be your final class in our Beef Builder Show.
Well, this is a good class with a lot of differences in these cattle and a lot of different types and kinds represented, and obviously a little bit different in terms of the stage of life and production that they're in. And so you got to take that into account, and there's some give and take in terms of that as well. But the brockle-faced heifer that's going to go ahead and lead off, she is bar none the highest quality, best built, best balanced one that we've got out here. And whenever you study their design, whenever you study their structure, whenever you get them in motion, that is the one out here that is built the best, and it's not close. I love that one. Look up front, her top line balance, her shoulder set, her hip and hind leg design allows her to go ahead and lead us off. Now she is just a little tighter flanked, and for this stage of the game, maybe like to see that one a little heavier bred, maybe a little closer to Kevin than she is right now. But I think all things considered, whenever you add up the good pieces, she's got the most quality because she's the best built, the best balanced, the most refined one in here, and you've done a nice job getting her presented. The one that's coming out here, the pair that's coming out here in two, I like the fact that one, KF, she's doing a good job with her. She's got a good bag. I really appreciate that. The cow is moderate. She's bold. She's stout. She's heavy bone. All those things are really, really good about her. Now, I would like to change her just a little bit in the design of her front end structure, the lay of her shoulder, the set of her knee from behind. She gets just a little awkward in the way that she sets down. And then whenever you study her from her shoulder right into her heart, foreribs, she gets just a bit tight and right there. And talked about her calf there earlier needing just a shade more bone and a little more feature to her. But I did think that was a really nice pair. Done a nice job with her. Heifer that's coming out here in third, the one that I really like her boldness body. I like her power. I think she's as good ribbed as anything that we've got in here. Now with that, I'd like to change her off both ends. That one for me gets a little too cresty necked and a bit plain up front. And then whenever you study the design of her hind leg, not only is she a bit frailer in her bone work, she's got some extra set to her hind leg, and she doesn't set down quite good enough in her rear ankle for me. So I'd like to change her look up front, change her hind leg set, and then we can talk about moving her up a spot or two. Another heifer that's very muscular that's going to round us out. I think that heifer is genuinely powerful and as muscular and as heavy boned as anything that we've got in here. Again, just need to change her structure. For me, she gets a little too straight up front, a bit too tight spined and rigid in the way that she goes off of her rear skeleton. So for me, her build, we need to change up just a little bit to work her up here in what's been a tough and nice class. So congratulations to all four of those exhibitors on a nice job.
Well, congratulations in our final class and division here in the Beef Builder Ring. Your champion senior yearling exhibited by Ransom Richardson of Braggs, Oklahoma with OXO Skeeter. Second place and congratulations going to back number 1184. Third place go to 1181, and fourth place and congratulations goes to back number 1183. We're now going to welcome in all of those division champion reserves, and our judge will select his grand and reserve grand champion Beef Builder heifers.
We've had a great beef builder show over here, and as we get our division champions and reserves back out here, I think an awesome set of them. And our division winners up here on the front line, I know there was a lot of give and take and a lot of variation in just the types and kinds of cattle that we had through those classes and through those divisions. And even though all of them that come back out here really don't represent all the same type and kind, I think we've got a really nice set of cattle that we've got out here. We started off our first division with one that's really high quality, very striking, awesome shaped. I think as you project that one out, I think she's got a tremendous upside and future to her. Now you compare it to some of these cattle down the line, they're a little huskier, a little bolder, a little more mature in terms of their stoutness of bonework and feature, but I think that one, whenever you just read quality and design and balance, I think that one is right in the mix out here, and you definitely got to give her a look because I think that's a very, very high quality heifer there to start us off in Division 1. Awesome one in terms of her color pattern and a neat look about her than the one that comes out of Division 2. Very striking up front, awesome in her top line balance, bold bodied, awesome in her presentation. Talked about even though her body shape was good, a little tighter flank, needed to change her hind leg set just a little bit. But again, one that definitely represents a lot of quality coming out of Division 2. The one that was in Division 3, that was just a single entry there and stopped, and at the standstill, her moderation, her boldness of body, her dimension, her balance from the side, I think all represent a lot of great things. And there was just one of them there that was in that division, but we talked about that on another class or another division earlier. If there was a lot more of them, I'd say this one would still be very competitive because she's got a lot of good stuff about her. Now, whenever we get her in motion, change her in her hock and her rear ankle design, and she does need to be just a bit better built out here to be just a shade more competitive in my opinion. But again, that one definitely represents good things there in Division 3. Got into Division 4 and a good pair of them there that come out of that division, differences in those cattle, but I really like the one that we used to win there. Awesome looking, great presented, and what separated her from the one that's on the far side is shape, the turn of her rib, the turn of her body actually being built with more dimension and a bit more moderate in her frame, and still to come with that kind of boldness of body and that kind of shape and turn up high. You study that one from the side, her lines and her balance, everything stays in check, and again, another very high quality look whenever you pass up and down the lineup. The Brackel-faced heifer there that comes out of our last division, that was a good division of them, and forehead that were represented in that class that were all very different, but I thought this one elevated herself to the top just based on her build and her structure. She's got a good hind leg set. I think she's really nice in terms of her look and her balance from the side. Your question in that one, her lower body balance from her chest back into her flank, I'd like to see her just the opposite there, because whenever you study her, the deepest part of her is right there at the base of her chest, and we talked about her maybe wanting to speed that one up just a little bit on a timeline and getting that one a little faster into production. Like to see her just a little heavier bred and closer to Kevin for where she's at right now. But again, that heifer is very nice. I think she's got a lot of quality. I think she's got as many good pieces as anything that we've got out here in our lineup, but things that you'd like to change about her as well. I think we've got an awesome set of division winners out here in our Beef Builders show, and a great set of them over there on the far side. If you would, around ringside, let's congratulate these exhibitors on an awesome job. I'll set this down and we'll select your champion and reserve.
Well, congratulations, your grand champion, beef builder here in the junior show at the Cattlemen's Congress, coming out of Class 17, exhibited by Molly Gibson, Newark, Arkansas. That's Miss JMS Zara 03M. And congratulations, Reserve Grand Champion, coming out of the first division, exhibited by Kaylin Jacobs, Brenham, Texas. That was BOF Maybelline 26N. That does conclude the Beef Builders. We're going to head to the backdrop for a quick break before we get started with the Full Blood and Purebred Braunvieh Female Show. We're going to welcome in the first class. These will be late spring heifer calves born on or after April of 2025.
Good way to get us going here in our purebred show. We've got 4 heifer calves that again, I think all 4 of them have quality. And the fun thing about judging these really young heifer calves is projecting them and think about if everything goes right, what they could be in the end. And I think all 4 of these heifers certainly have some good pieces to work off of. The one that's going to go ahead and start for me, that one is the blend of the kind of stoutness, the kind of boldness with the kind of look that I like from the profile. I think as you compare her to the ones that are coming in behind her, I think it's just way more overwhelming in terms of her rib and her body and her stoutness of structure, the one that's coming right in behind her, and an upgrade structure compared to the one that's coming in third. Now you could change her just a little bit in the way that she comes right over her loin. She'll want to pinch just a little bit right there and get a little higher in her spine, but I still think everything's in check good enough in regard to her feet and leg structure, and for me that one's just the most overwhelming one out here whenever you get on top of them or whenever you get off to the side of them from a body dimension and feature standpoint. The one that's coming out here in second, this heifer's really intriguing in her look, and I think she's awesome in terms of her structure, and I think if everything goes right for her and she continues to body down and there's just enough of her whenever it gets all said and done, I think that one could be really, really good. Now today, she, of the initial trio, or really probably of the four that we've got out here, she's the shallowest, hardest bodied heifer that we've got in class. That's also the frailest in her bone work. Now on the other side of that, I thought her build and I thought her structure allowed her to get around the two that are coming behind her, but there just wasn't quite enough to her to go ahead and get around our class winner. The one that's coming out here in third, I like this one's turn of her rib and her center body and the depth that she's got back through her rear rib and flank just a shot better than the one that's going out right ahead of her. And she's got a neat neck and a good look up front. I'd like to change her off both ends of her skeleton. She gets a little straight and a little twisted out up front, and then whenever we get her in motion off of her rear skeleton, the way that she sits down in her hock and her rear ankle is just a bit too rigid whenever we get those cattle on the lap to go ahead and work up any higher. And then the heifer that we're going to round out with, that heifer's moderate. She's bold-bodied. She's very powerful from a dimension standpoint. She gets a little round-shouldered, a little too plain up front, a little rounder out of her hip. I just called that one the poorest balanced one of the set that we've got out here. But again, I thought a nice set. Congratulations to all those exhibitors.
Well, congratulations. In Class 1, we did split that class into an A and a B. 1A, first place will go to Riley Bowling of Poolville, Texas, with Star Creole Woman 10M. Second place, exhibited by Shelby Prezak. Third place, and congratulations, go to Court Odom. And fourth place, go to Colt Pittman. We're now going to welcome in Class 1B.
Another good class that we've got out here, and I think this one really, for me, falls into line really nicely. The heifer that we've got up front, easily the highest quality and the best balanced one that we've got out here. I do think the two better bodied and sounder structured cattle I've got in 1 and 2, and then our class winner takes that a step further with just a shot more look and quality and refinement up front. Head shape, neckline, where her neck ties in is just a bit better than the heifer that's coming right in behind her. I still think she's as good structured as anything that we've got out here as well. So for me, even though we've got the two big-bodied, sound, really cowy ones up in 1 and 2, I still think our class winner just goes ahead and wins just because of her extra shot of quality with that. The one that's coming out here in second, she's as bold, she's as powerful as anything that we've got in here. And where she gets around the ones that are coming in behind her, she's better ribbed and she's sounder structured. Now, whenever you study her in comparison to our class winner, she's a little too plain up front. She's a little plainer headed. She's got just a shot of leather there in her neckline and through her chest, and so she just doesn't have the same kind of look of balance as our class winner. But again, that one I thought, just as far as making a nice kind of replacement, I think that one's got a lot of good things about her. The one that's coming out here next probably has just a shade more look up front, extension there from her shoulder forward, I think is an advantage over the one that goes out right ahead of her. That heifer's got some boldness and some turn to her up high. I'd like to change her and see her a little stouter in her bone work and a bit sounder in her structure. She's a bit too upright in the angle of her shoulder, and then whenever you watch her get out and go, she's a bit tight spine for me, and I'd like to relax her there. The heifer that we're going to round out our class, really, I think if this heifer does the right things and continues to body down and soften up just a little bit, she's really got a nice look up front. She's refined, she's feminine, she's smooth-shouldered. All those things about her, just in regard to her look and refinement, are really, really good. It's just from there back, she just runs out of horsepower in this class, and she gets a little tight-bodied, a little hard back through her rear rib and flank, a little rounder out of her hip, and just needs to be softened up with a bit more dimension to go ahead and run just a bit higher here in a tough class. But congratulations on a nice job.
Well, congratulations in Class 1B. First place exhibited by Riley Flowers of Mount Vernon, Texas. Second place in that class will go to Shelby Prezick of Brenham, Texas. Third place also to Riley Flowers. And fourth place exhibited by Christina Silvesti. We're now going to welcome in Class 2. These are early spring heifer calves born March to April of 2025.
This is a really good class and a really interesting class to put together. I think we've got a quality up here on our top end, and there's some different things that you could, in different ways that you could shake this class up after our class winner. But for me, I thought the most comfortable thing in here to do, and I was most comfortable in getting this one towards the top and doing it pretty quick, because whenever you study her balance, she's got a great look to her from the side. I like the way she's assembled, and her angles and her feet and leg structure stays in check. That heifer's good ribbed and good bodied and still built with enough dimension. And so whenever we talk about cattle that are solid, problem-free, good-looking, good design, sound-structured, good-bodied, all the things, I think that one works up towards the top of this class pretty quick. Now, after her, I think it gets pretty challenging, because there's a lot of heifers in here that I like a lot of pieces of, but each one of them I could probably change just a little bit about. The young lady's heifer that's coming out here in second, I like her at the standstill, and she mirrors the look of balance most closely to our class winner. Whenever you compare her to the heifer that's coming right in behind her, she's more moderate in her frame. She's way better in the turn of her rib and the depth and softness that she's got through her rear rib and flank in comparison to the one that's coming in behind her. And she's quite a bit smoother and more refined in comparison to the one that's coming out here in 4. We get her in motion. That's where I'll pick on her. She's just a little too rigid at the ground in her hock and her rear ankle especially. But if we loosen that one up, then I think she probably pushes our class winner just a little bit harder. But at the standstill, still thought she resembled the balance, the body type, and the design of the one that we used to win the most of the ones remaining. Now, I love the look up front of the heifer that's coming out here in 3. She's as long-necked, neat-chested, and neat-necked as anything that we've got out here. With that, though, of the initial 4 that we've got, she's the hardest bodied one. She's too tight in her heart and forerib. I'd like to drop her and soften her in her flank. And then with that, too, she gets a little tight spined and needs to be relaxed in her top balance just a little bit as well. And so not only could she use just a shot more body, but we also need to change her in her structure and her top line just a little bit as well. The one that's coming out next is the power heifer in the class, because she is big-footed, she's rugged boned, she's bold-bodied, she's opened up, she's very, very stout. Muscle, dimension, and body shape is not her problem. I get side of her of the class, she's probably the most masculine and probably the least refined in her head shape, and she's a little cresty neck, a little round hip, and whenever you get off to the side of her, for me, she needs to blend together with a bit more look and be better in her lines and just a bit more refined and more feminine in that one's look up front especially. The one coming out here next, probably a little smoother in the lay of her shoulder. I think she's more refined in her head and her neck shape. From her shoulder back, she gets a bit too tight-bodied for me, and she's another one that gets a little tighter in her spine whenever you study her in motion, and I'd like to lay her back in the set of her shoulder just a little bit as well. Here's another heifer that I think good-footed, good bone, very nicely presented. Another one that, for me, gets just a little jammed up and a little deeper up front and a little deeper there in her neckline, and then with that, she gets too up in her spine and too round out of her hip, and that throws her out of balance. Another heifer that's bold and powerful and very extended that we're going to round out with, that certainly has some dimension to her whenever you get in behind her. I thought, for me, this one struggled the most whenever we got them in motion. She's the most upright in her shoulder, and she's the most rigid in her hock and rear ankle. We need to see her sounder to go ahead and work her up here in a tough class. Congratulations on a nice job.
Well, congratulations in Class 2 first place, exhibited by Shelby Prazik of Brenham, Texas, with Praz Miss Solar Spark 127N. Second place in that class go to Foster Grace Cutting of Headley, Texas. Third place, exhibited by Caitlin Jacobs. Fourth place went to Caitlin Ellert. Fifth place, and congratulations, Coy Pittman. Sixth place was exhibited by Katie June Alexander. Seventh place, exhibited by Haley Rengel. Now in the ring, we'll look to see Class 3A.
Well, another good class of them is just a little deeper here into this heifer calf division, and I think a really good pair of them that we've got up top. And stopped and at the standstill, it's a 2-horse race between the two. And then whenever you get them in motion, that's where our class winner separates herself. I love that one's design, and I really, really like her structure of the two that are really striking and awesome bodied and really good balance from the side. I like this one, her hip and her hind leg, and the way that she goes with just a little more flexibility and athleticism off of her rear skeleton. I like a bunch. And then whenever she pieces together at the standstill, that heifer's moderate. She's big bodied. Everything pieces together like it needs to, and she's very, very nice in terms of her hair coat and her presentation to go along with that as well. Young lady does a great job getting her shown and presented out here to go along with it. Now, like I talked about, the heifer that's coming out here in second, stopped and at the standstill, this one gives our class winner a run for her money, because that one is good looking, great design, good balance, and probably just a shade more muscular whenever you get right up on top of her. She's got a real bold shape up top. She's got a real stout hip and pin set in her, and there's your look at her from the side. She's very, very striking. Now, in comparison, whenever we get these two cattle in motion, she's just a nickel upright in her shoulder, and then she's not as loose in her hock in the way that she gets out and goes. So if if we're going to switch that pair and she's going to beat our class winner, we need to lay her back in her shoulder. We need to loosen her up in her hock just ever so slightly to go ahead and get her around our class winner. But I thought that was a very, very nice pair of them. The one that's coming out here in 3, I think this is another heifer that's got a lot of quality to her as well. She's neat. She's very refined there at the top side of her neck, and another heifer that's built with the right kind of turn and the right kind of boldness to her body whenever you study her through the center portion. Now, she's not quite as good built in regard to her angles and her skeleton, because she's a bit too forward in the angle of her shoulder. She wants to roll up in her spine, get too round out of her hip and too rigid from behind, and even just standing right there, you can see how she'll want to camp her front feet out up in front of her because her shoulder isn't built quite good enough. And like we talked about, we need to redesign her hip and her hind leg as well. Heifer that's coming out here next, big outline. She's long-bodied. I like her extension there up front. Whenever you study her, she needs just a shade more body, because she comes off just a little harder and tighter right there in her heart and her forerib, back into her rear rib and flank. She doesn't have the same kind of look from the side, and again gets a little rounder out of her hip as well. The heifer that we're going to round out our class with, I think this one just needs a little more time and maturity, because she's got some extension and some look up front. It's from her shoulder back that she gets out horsed in this class pretty big time, because that one just gets a little too tight in her heart and forerib and a little too shallow all the way from there back. But I think if that one comes with enough dimension to her, she's going to be really nice on down the road. She's just not quite there yet for you. But again, congratulations. All those exhibitors did a great job on a good class.
Well, congratulations in Class 3A in the Braunvieh Female Show. First place was exhibited by Ellen Zeinben of Campbellsburg, Indiana. Second place, and congratulations to the same exhibitor with back number 1202. Third place went to Presley Hoop. Fourth place, exhibited by Shelby Prezik. Fifth place, and congratulations go to Madison Moore. Now in the ring is Class 3B before the division.
Good class of them again. I think a lot of give and take that we've got out here, and a lot of different types and kinds, and that's kind of what we've got in our heifers that are coming out in 1 and 2. Very different in the advantages that they've got, but I think both very good where they're good. Just kind of where you want to place your priorities is how you're going to sort them. The one that's going to go ahead and lead us off, whenever you get these cattle set up and you get off to the side of them, easily the best looking one, that's the best in their design and the highest quality in regard to balance and look and refinement and stoutness of structure, is the one that I'm going to lead off with, because this one, whenever you get her stopped and at the standstill, she's very striking and very good looking up front. You study her in comparison to the heifer that's coming right in behind her. She also reads stouter at the surface in terms of her foot and her bone work, and she's wanting to fight the halter the whole time out here just a little bit, and she does want to roll up in her spine, and she's not perfect there in her flank line. And so if you're going to get on her, I think that's where you're going to pick on her just a little bit. But whenever you add up pieces, she's got a lot of them, and I still like her look and her balance and her quality from the side to go ahead and lead us off. Now, the heifer that's coming out here in second, her advantages lie in her moderation, her body type. She's really cowy, and I think she's the best ribbed heifer that we've got in here. The turn that she's got coming out of the backside of her shoulder and the depth that she's got all the way back through her rear rib and flank is what I really, really like about that heifer. Now, for me, whenever you get off to the side of her, I don't think she balances up quite as good because she's a little short neck, jammed up front. She's a little shorter and rounder out of her hip, and then she gets quite a bit frailer in her bone work at the surface. And so for me, I'd like to balance up with just a bit more look and strikiness from the side to go ahead and get around our class winner. But I thought that pair was very good. They were very different, but still a nice quality pair that are coming out there in 1 and 2. The brindle heifer that's coming out here next is really bold ribbed, and she's got some dimension to her whenever you get in behind her, kind of like the heifer that goes out right ahead of her. She's a little plain up front, 2 round out of her hip, and the difference between 2 and 3 is whenever we get this heifer right here in motion, she becomes the most rigid in her rear ankle in the way that it sets down, and I'd like to see her better looking and just a shade sounder in her structure. Here's a very stout and powerful heifer that the young lady's bringing around here next, and at the standstill, I could move her up a spot or two because I like her extra dimension, I like her extra boldness, and I like her just genuine width all the way through. It's whenever we get her in motion, she's just too tight and restricted off both ends of her skeleton and just a bit tight in her spine. Here's the heifer that at the standstill I think's got a real sharp look to her. For me, gets a little too hard bodied and just a little greener about her body type in general. She's a little flat and hard right there in her heart and forerib, and I'd like to drop her down and see her just a bit softer back through her rear rib and flank. I think if she gets that long term, she's going to be really, really nice, but today she just needs a little more to her. And same thing with the one that we're going to round out our class with. I thought both of those heifers could have used just a shot more body, and this one for me gets just a shade plainer up front and just a nickel rounder out of her hip in comparison to the one that goes out right ahead of her. I thought a good class of them there. Congratulations to those exhibitors on a great job.
Well, congratulations, first place. Go to back number 1211. This is WCCR Glamour Girl 5001, exhibited by Aiden Wolkin of Mendenhall, Mississippi. Second place was exhibited by Ashley Esparza of Segoville, Texas. Third place in that class will go to back number 1212. Fourth place exhibited by back number 1209. Fifth place will go to back number 1207, and sixth to back number 1208. We're now going to look to see all the firsts and seconds. We'll select a champion reserve junior heifer calf in our full blood and purebred Braunvieh female show.
We had 5 really, really nice classes to work through here in this heifer calf division. We'll buzz through them just real quick, and we'll name you a champion in reserve here in our heifer calf division. We started off there in our class 1 and hit the ground running because I thought that was a really nice heifer that we used to win that class. She's good-footed, she's good bone, she's good-bodied. I like that one. Whenever you study her look up front and the way that she can transition into the kind of rib and body that she does, we picked on her just a little bit where she comes in her over her loin and to her hip. She gets just a little tight right there in her spine, and if you wanted to relax her there just a little bit, that's probably where I'd change her, but I still thought really nice one there. Definitely one that you have to give a strong look at out here because she does have a lot of quality, and this young lady does a good job getting her shown and put together and presented out here. The one that won that second class, I thought a pretty clear-cut winner, in my opinion, in that class, honestly, because I thought we had 2 of them that represented what I like with just a little more rib and a little more body and a little more bulk and horsepower to them, and I thought this one was the better looking option of that pair. Now, as we compare her to some of these cattle that are on down the line, there's some of them that are a little more overwhelming in some places, and probably just maturity plays into that, where they're just a little huskier, a little bolder, a little stouter everywhere. But hey, that's a really nice heifer there as well. And again, for me, I got to give this one a look, and she's right in my mind, she's right in contention here in this lineup. The one that comes out of the next class, I thought just like the class before her, pretty clear-cut winner. That was a big class with a lot of good ones in it, and yet I saw this one as just the most solid one, the blend of everything that I like in terms of look and balance and refinement, having the right kind of body type to her as well. We get her out here and we get her in deeper water, and you study this one and you think, even though she is really solid and really complete, she is overwhelming in any one area, and I don't think she is. She's not as stout and as rugged in her foot and her bone work. There's some cattle that are a little bolder, a little more muscular all the way through, but whenever you study that one as an individual in her own right, she is very high quality that does a good job blending a sound functional package with the right kind of balance and enough look and refinement to her. The question that you've got to ask yourself, is that heifer as overwhelming as some of these in some of these other classes? She's probably not, but again, that's going through my mind. You got to give her a look out here because everywhere that you study her, she's pretty solid. The one that comes out of that next class, that was a good pair of them there, stopped into the standstill. We had a pair of them that were good looking, good design, good bodied, bold ribbed with extra dimension, and then our class winner separated herself because she was a lot better in the build of her feet and leg structure, and I like that about her. And whenever something's sound and whenever something's good in their angles and good built, that just allows them to balance up so well from the profile, and that's what I really like about this heifer. She's just a little plainer headed, and she's just a little dead-headed out here, but whenever you study her from her shoulder back, she's awesome in her top-line balance. She's got as good a turn to her body as anything out here, and I still think she's as good in her feet and leg structure whenever we get them in motion as any one of our class winners out here. She's beautifully presented. She's awesome in terms of freshness, the hair coat. You've done a nice job getting her shown and getting her put together out here as well. We just worked through that last class in this division. There were some ups and downs and some different types and kinds, but even though there were 2 of them that do different kinds of cattle, they're out of that last class. I still think they're both very nice, and the one that we used to win is a nice looking heifer from the side, and I think at the standstill up front is her best look. She's neat fronted, really good where her neck ties onto the top of her shoulder. She's big footed and heavy bone. We got her in motion. She gets a little tight spined, and of our set that we've got out here, she maybe doesn't balance just perfect because from her midrib all the way back into her flank, she gets just a shot shallow right there. So again, if you're going to criticize her there, that's probably where I'd do it. But again, I think we've got a good lineup that we've got out here. I think there's one for me, pretty clear cut, that needs to win. I think it gets pretty close for reserve. So I'll set this down. We'll select your champion in reserve here in this division. One time, if you would, congratulate these young people on an awesome lineup here in our heifer calf division. I'd sure appreciate it. They would too. Nice job to them. Let's get you a champion in reserve.
Well, congratulations. Your junior calf champion comes to you out of the last class here in our division. Congratulations go to Ellen Zybin of Campbellsburg, Indiana with SW. Coming out of the same class, the reserve champion will be back number 1202. That's SW Rachel, 2509 ET, exhibited by Ellen Zybin of Campbellsburg, Indiana. Congratulations to those exhibitors. We'll now look to see Class 4 Winter Heifer Calves for November to December of 2024.
This is another really, really good class. And again, a lot of quality in here, top to bottom. And yet, as good as this class is and as deep as it is, I still like our heifer that wins. And she does so pretty clearly for me. I like that one's balance. I love her look from the side. Very striking up front. Top line balance stays in check. Awesome ribbed. Great bodied. Really, really fresh in terms of her hair coat and presentation. Think she's very good structured whenever we get her in motion. If we're going to criticize that one just a little bit, she needs to be just a little bit looser in her rear ankle. If we're going to get real nitpicky on one that I think is very, very good, that's where I'd do it. But again, very nice heifer to lead us off. I thought the decision in here was between 2 and 3 because we've got 2 nice heifers that are just a little bit different in the advantages that they bring to the table. I like the extra refinement, the smoothness, the femininity, and extension of the heifer coming in 2 in comparison to the one that's coming in behind her. You study her up front, she's more refined at the top side of her neck and ties it better onto the top of her shoulder. She's longer, she's leveler out of her hip, and then whenever we get her in motion, I think she's just a bit more flexible in the set of her hock and her rear ankle. Now, in comparison to our class winner, she's just a bit more forward up front in the angle of her shoulder, and then whenever you study her right out of the backside of her shoulder and her heart and forerib doesn't come with the same kind of turn and same kind of boldness of body shape of our class winner, and that's where she's going to be running here in 2, and that's what makes the decision close between 2 and 3, because the heifer coming out in 3rd definitely has the advantage in boldness of heart and forerib. I love her dimension whenever you study her through the center part of her body. She's pretty stout whenever you get in behind her. My problem is whenever you get off to the side of her lineup, whenever you study her at the top side of her shoulder, she's a little cresty necked, a little plainer headed, a little rounder hipped. All those things just kind of add up into her being not quite as good looking and refined from the side, and where she's going to slide 3rd here in what I thought was a really, really nice top trio. The one that's coming out here in 4, this is a nice heifer as well. She's refined, she's feminine up front. If you're just studying her in her own right, I think she's got a nice look of balance to her that's plenty good enough in her structure. You plug her in this class and she gets out horsed, she gets outperformed and gets swallowed up by cattle that are bolder, stouter, bigger ribbed, and just have a little more performance and go to them. And so that's where I'd like to change her and stouten her up just a little bit all the way through. But again, congratulations to all 4 of those exhibitors on a great job.
Well, congratulations. In Class 4 Winter Heifer Calves, first place was exhibited by back number 1216. That's Star Whiskey Girl M97, exhibited by Caitlin Jacobs of Brenham, Texas. Second place in that class will go to Emily Alexander of Brashear, Texas. Third place exhibited by Shelby Prazek, and fourth place went to Annie Bassinger. We're now going to welcome in Class 6 Senior Heifer Calves, born September to October of 2024 before the division.
There we go. This is a really good pair on the top end of this class. I think some good differences between two cattle, and you can talk about the advantages that both of them have. Ultimately, the one that's going to lead off our class is the best looking one in here up front. Whenever you study her in the extension that she's got from her shoulder forward, her neckline, the way that she comes into her chest floor, she's stronger in the way that she hooks up behind her shoulder, and she's also quite a bit bolder and more dimensional whenever you get up on top of her. Right out of the back of her shoulder, right in her heart and her forerib, she has the clear advantage in boldness of body and shape and turn, and still very, very stout from behind. I like that about her. And then, like we talked about, whenever you get off to the side of these cattle, she's more striking up front and better in her top line balance, which I think adds to her look from the side to get her over the one that's coming out here in 2. Now, the one that's coming out here in 2nd, I like her hind leg set. Her hip and her hind leg, I think, are as good as anything that we've got in this class. The length, the levelness of her hip, she sits down with more cushion to her hock and her rear ankle. All those things are really, really good about her, and that's what makes this pair very close. Ultimately, where I made the call is where I backed off to the side of them. That heifer's too plain up front. She doesn't hook her neck quite good enough onto the top of her shoulder, and she gets a little easy there behind her shoulder. And then whenever you get right up on top of her, she's quite a bit flatter in the turn and shape up high that she's got to her rib cage. And so that's what split a very, very competitive pair, in my opinion, where both those heifers, I think, have advantages, and they're both very, very nice. The one that's coming out here in 3 is bold and stout and powerful, and she's got dimension. Whenever you get in behind her, she's just a wide built one all the way through. From the side, a little crestier neck, a little shorter up front, a little rounder out of her hip, and that threw her out of balance from the side and landed her 3rd here in comparison to the pair that goes out ahead of her. And then she's probably just a little rigid in her rear ankle as well. As we work on down, the young lady's heifer that we've got coming out next has some extension to her, pretty flexible. Her range of motion is actually pretty good whenever you sit them in motion. She's a little tight spine and wants to dump her pins and doesn't have the same kind of body shape and depth back through her rear rib and flank, and that, again, throws her out of balance from the side. The heifer that we're going to round out our class with, another one extension, length of body's good. Heifer that's got some muscle and some turn up high. For me, a little straight up front and a little too shallow bodied whenever you study her from the profile. Congratulations on a nice class.
Congratulations in Class 5 before the division. First place, we go to Isabella Anderson with JBB Tika 4531M. Second place in that class was exhibited by Megan Schultz of Friendship, Wisconsin. Third place will go to Shelby Smircina of Wiley, Texas. Fourth place was exhibited by Annabelle Lehman. Fifth place in that class will go to Colt Pittman. We're now going to welcome in those first and seconds. Our judge will select his champion reserve, senior calves.
I thought this was a really nice division and 2 good class winners and 2 good seconds represented. As we bring them back out here, we'll talk about each one of them, and then we'll name your champion in reserve. I thought the one that came out of that first class was a pretty clear-cut winner in there because she's awesome looking and great balance from the side, moderate, big-bodied, really, really fresh in terms of her condition and her hair coat. I like that as well. We talked about how that one was plenty good enough in her structure, but if you're going to pick on her just a little bit, you'd loosen her up in the way that she sits down in her rear ankle. But actually, of our 2 class winners, she's actually the sounder and looser built one of that pair. But again, whenever you back off to the side of her, I think that heifer pieces together with a lot of quality. I thought a good pair of them that were represented there in the class that we just talked about. I love the boldness, the power in combination with the look up front of the heifer that I used to win that class. And I think that heifer is pretty unique out here because she is so striking up front, and to be that bold and that powerful, I think is a pretty impressive combination between that, but of those 2 things. Now, we get her in motion and what made that pair close and where we'd like to pick on our class winner that comes out of that second class. She is pretty rigid in her hock and her rear ankle, and I'd like to set her just a little looser with a little more athleticism there from behind. But again, heifer that's got a lot of neat pieces and a good pair of seconds that we've got in behind them. I thought a fun division to work through. I'm going to set this down, select your champion in reserve. Again, if you would around ringside, let's congratulate these exhibitors here that made this an awesome division.
Well, congratulations, your senior calf champion coming out of Class 4, exhibited by Caitlin Jacobs. That was Star Whiskey Girl M97. And congratulations, reserve in that division coming out of Class 5. That was JBB Tika 4531M, exhibited by Isabella Anderson of Royce City, Texas. That does conclude that division. We'll now look to see Class 6 intermediate heifers born made August of 2024.
Well, a good pair of heifers that we've got here, and I think an interesting pair because both of them have some advantages in here, and there's some give and take for sure between the pair of them. The young man up front is going to go ahead and lead us off. I like this heifer's look and her design from the profile just a shot better than the one that's coming right in behind her, and especially her hip and her hind leg. And I think that's the biggest difference between the pair of them and where I like our class winner better because her hip and her hind leg design is so much more attractive in the way that it's set at the standstill and the way that she gets out and utilizes it whenever these cattle are at the lap. And not only is she more attractive in the set and travel of it, she's also quite a bit stouter in her bone work as well. I like her foot size, I like her dimension, and I like her feature all the way to the surface whenever you compare her to the one that's coming right in behind her. Now, you can't call her perfect structured because I still think she's just a nickel stilty up front, and so I'd like to lay her back there just a little bit in the angle of her shoulder, but from there back, and especially, like I said, hip and hind leg design allows her to get around the one that's coming out here in second. The one that's coming out here in second has the advantage in power. She is bold-bodied, she's really opened up and really dimensional all the way through, and that's what I think makes the pair close because I like that. I like the turn of her body, I like the extra power, I like the extra dimension that she's got, yet whenever we get her in motion, we've got to see her get around just a little bit better in the use of her hip and her hind leg. And like I alluded to whenever we were talking about our class winner, she's just a little bit frail in her foot size and bone work. Whenever we get her in motion, if you study just the her hock and the set of her rear ankle, it's just not as attractive. It's not as square and flexible as our class winner. That's what sorted those two. But I thought a good pair of them. Congratulations to both those exhibitors on a nice job.
Well, congratulations. Your champion intermediate female is exhibited by back number 1228. That was WCCR Dixie Delight 4084, exhibited by Aiden Wilkin of Mendenhall, Mississippi. Reserve in that division is exhibited by Ellen Zimban of Campbellsburg, Indiana. We're now going to welcome in Class 7. These are spring yearling heifers born March to April of 2024.
Just got a single entry here represented in this class, and fundamentally, this heifer, I think whenever you're talking about building good, functional kind of cattle, I think she does a lot of things right. She is awesome ribbed. She's great bodied. She looks very maternal whenever you study her from the side, and I think everything balances up in her just right. I asked him when she was going to calve, and she's going to calve right at 2, and looks like she's dropping a nice bag, and I tell you what, I really, really appreciate that in a heifer that whenever you get her in motion, even though she ducks her pins just a little bit, I still think her lower joint work sets down extremely flexible and sound. And so I think he's got him a nice one here. We'll get to see her back in just a minute for a division drive. Congratulations.
Well, congratulations in Class 7, first place, exhibited by Aiden Wilkin with WCCR Polar Princess 4027. We'll now welcome in Class 8 before the division.
Another really nice single entry represented that we've got here in this division. And this heifer's moderation, her body type is awesome. I love that rib cage that she's got laid in her, because whenever you talk about one that's awesome coming out of the back of her shoulder, so bold and so good in the turn of it, the depth and sweep that she's got back through her rear rib and flank is incredibly good. Dropping a nice bag. I asked this young lady when this thing was due. She said hopefully not today, so she can get her shown this week and get her back home. But I think just as far as fundamentally, just like the one that we had in our last class, you talk about making good cattle that are good bodied and sound and have the right kind of dimension and a real low input look to them. Man, I really, really like that one. There's been some of them out here that are a little more striking, a little neater necked, if you want to tie into that. But I think, and if you want to pick on that one just a little bit for not being just the neatest one up front, but I still think that heifer's got a lot of good to her. I think you've got a really nice single entry here, and we'll get to see you right back in here for a division drive.
Well, congratulations in Class 8. First place exhibited by Caitlin Ellert of Lila Lake, Texas, with JBB Mila 434M. We're now going to welcome in those two single entries. We'll select a champion reserve in this division.
A really, really nice pair of heifers that we've got in this division drive. And honestly, I probably call these more alike than they are different. And I think you can probably lump them both into the same category as far as just awesome-bodied cattle that are really good structured, that look maternal, that look like they're going to be awesome cows for these exhibitors out here. I think the differences between them, the one that, and we'll talk about both of them, the one that comes out of the first class represents just a little more look, a little more strikingness, a little more elegance up front. She's a little longer neck, just a little neater headed, a little more refined there at the top side of her neck. I really, really like that about her. The one that comes out of the second class, whenever you talk about one that is just so sound and so comfortable in her skeleton and so good in her rib and her body type, I think she's awesome in those places. When we talked about her, maybe there's cattle out here, and like the one that's right in front of her is probably just a little neater looking up front. And if you're going to pick on her for being just a little plainer from her shoulder forward, if I was going to change her, that's probably where I would too. But from her shoulder back, I really, really like her. I think this is an awesome pair of them. Like I said, more alike than different. One of them just more look, more strikiness, more balance, and that's going to be the young man's up front. He's going to be your division champion. The young lady in the back is going to be your division reserve. Nice job.
Congratulations, your junior yearling champion exhibited by Aiden Wolken coming out of Class 7. Reserve champion will come from Class 8 exhibited by Caitlin Ellert. We'll now look to see our final class and division for the day here in the OG&E Coliseum. This will be Class 9 senior yearling heifers born September through December of 2023.
Got a good set of pairs to wrap us up and what's been a great showing. I'm excited to get our division winners back out here in just a second as we get ready to select all female, but I think a good set of them that we've got out here in the cow-calf pair that we're going to start off with. Tell you what, that's a good pair of them. One that a high-quality cow. It's probably got my favorite calf of the set that we've got out here. She's the most refined one up front. She's got the neatest look about her head, her neck set. Whenever she gets stopped and pulled together, she gives you a pretty nice look from the side. This young lady does a good job getting this one shown out here and puts her together, gets her loin very, very nice in her balance. If we're going to criticize her, whenever we get her in motion, she'll want to roll up in her top line, kind of dump her pins just a little bit, but still very, very high quality pair of them that are going out. And like I said, probably my favorite calf that we've got out here to the set as well. The one that's coming out here in second, I like the turn to this one's body. I like her boldness. I like her dimension. And probably just, even though she doesn't hook up quite perfect behind her shoulder, I still think she might be just a little longer and leveler out of her hip. And I like that about her. But like we said, doesn't hook up quite as good right in behind her shoulder. Doesn't have the same kind of look and design up front. Maybe square calf up just a little bit from behind in regard to his structure, but still very, very nice pair of them. Again, good pair of them that we're going to round out this class with because she's good-footed, she's heavy boned, she's moderate frame. Just wasn't as high quality in terms of her look and design on the cow side. Like to change that one in the way that she handles her top line and hip and hind leg, gives up a little bit of look ahead of her shoulder. Again, congratulations. That was a great set of them there to round us out in what's been an show.
Well, congratulations in Class 9 in your senior yearling division. Champion will be exhibited by Lennon Lister of Lindsay, Oklahoma. Reserve in that division will go to Annabelle Lehman of Leroy, Kansas. And third place, exhibited by Shiloh Cameron. We're now going to welcome in all of our division champion and reserves. And our judge, Mr. Spencer Scotton, will be selecting his grand and reserve grand champion full-blood purebred females.
Well, as we come to the conclusion of what's been an awesome show out here this afternoon, I'd really like to thank the Braunvieh Association for having me out here to work with your young people today. It's been a few years ago, but I got to work with you all on the Junior Nationals. I don't know what year exactly it was, but I was excited to work with your young people again, and it's been an awesome experience. It was a couple years ago whenever I got to work with all of you. You have great people to work with, great people in charge, and really a first-class set of young people to work with. And thank you to the Cattleman's Congress for having us out. It's been just an awesome event. And like I said earlier, to start off the day, walking in this show ring and this arena, it'll take your breath away. It is an awesome venue to have a show. It's been so cool to see this event grow, and just every year it keeps getting bigger and bigger. And so it's just an awesome opportunity to get to be a part of it. So I did enjoy all of our divisions as we work through them. We get a great set of them out here. I think all the way from the calf division to our cow-calf pair division, nothing's clear cut out here. I'll tell you what, they are all in contention for me, because that's the level of quality that we're working with out here. And I could see each one of these going in production, making an impact and doing some great things within your breed, because I think quality level that we got to work with in each and every one of these divisions has been absolutely outstanding. And so I'm proud of your young people for bringing a set that are this good out here to the Cattleman's Congress. It's been fun to work with you this afternoon. Like I said, just an awesome set of young people to get to show under me today. Congratulations to all of them for your division winners and reserves out here. Best of luck as you work into the open show tomorrow, later on in the spring. If you're going to wrap these things around in the spring and into the summer, I wish you all the best of luck as you continue on down the road. Again, thanks for letting me be a part of it here this afternoon. If you would, around ringside, let's congratulate all of our division winners and reserves out here. I'm going to set this down, give them one more look, get you a champion in reserve. Again, certainly been a pleasure to get to work with you guys.
Well, congratulations, your grand champion, full-blood and purebred Braunvieh female here at the Cattleman's Congress, coming out of our junior calf division, exhibited by Ellen Zeibing of Campbellsburg, Indiana. That's SW Phoebe 2504 ET. Well, congratulations, reserve grand champion coming out of Class 4. That was Star Whiskey Girl M97, exhibited by Caitlin Jacobs, Brenham, Texas. We'd like to congratulate all of the Junior Braunvieh exhibitors today here at the Cattleman's Congress, and a special thank you to our judge, Mr. Spencer Scotton.
Thank you for joining us for Cattleman's Congress. This has been a Walton Webcasting production. Livestock